Okay. All right. So we are going to go ahead and get started. Before I do begin, I wanted to, welcome you guys. Thank you for taking the time to listen in on this virtual parent orientation. We're going to keep it as brief as possible while also remaining as informative as possible. So we want to get you guys back to your Thursday evenings as quickly as we can, but we've also given you a lot of information. So that said, my name is Mr. Suarez. I'm one of the program directors with Enrichment Masters. And I kind of want to, what we're going to do today is we're just going to give you an idea of what you can expect from the program, answer any and all frequently asked questions, anything you might be curious about, we'll get that answered for you. We are going to have a Q&A session at the end of the orientation. That will be, I'll be reading all the questions that you guys type in or I ask that you type in the chat, and then I'll be going through everything one by one to make sure that, any confusion or any questions that you guys might have are answered. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started. First, I'd like to go over the two different programs that are going to be happening at Indian Trace. So the first is our drumline, and the second is our robotics and engineering program. Those are the only two that we have for the fall as well as the spring. I might have seen a few of you at the open house yesterday. I was set up at the front of the school with our props and our signs and stuff, answering some questions. So here we're going to go a little bit into more detail. As far as the programs go, we have 24 different programs that we can offer, but at the end of the day, the administration, they are in charge of what programs come to their school. So those are the programs that they selected. I know there's a lot of different programs at Indian Trace. I know there's a drama club. That's one of the programs that you guys got going on. And we don't want to, be stepping on any toes. So we don't want to try poaching anybody from there. So that said, that's the programs that we have available. If you are curious to find out exactly what, what's going to be covered in these programs, if you were to go to our website, you don't have to do so right now, but whenever you have a moment, on the top of our website where it says about, at enrichmentmasters.com, you go to about, under it, it'll say our programs. You'll find the program that you want to learn more information on. You'll click it, and there's a little button that says more info, and that will lead you to a sample curriculum. It'll give you the lesson titles, different things that will be covered in those programs, and the details of each of those lessons. It is not the entire curriculum. This is just a sample of what has been taught in the past. And it is based off of what the instructors themselves create. So our instructors, they're all very well versed in their fields, and they, we give them the creative freedom to come up with their own curriculum. So moving right along on the topic of the curriculum and the creative freedom, we work on what's called a project-based model. And if you're not aware of what that means, it's very, very simple. It's just that, yes, we're teaching them the basics, the fundamentals of each different program, but it's all leading up towards one final project or presentation or something of that sort. I'll use the drumline as an example. Indian Trace is actually one of the schools that participated in our ultimate drumline competition. I'm sure there's some parents in here, who had their children participate in that last year. And if for those of you who were there, you'll remember, but for those of you who weren't, we had the different schools competing. We had Indian Trace, Eagle Point, Banyan Elementary, and Silver Lakes over in Miramar, all competing in in a competition. They were playing their pieces that they learned from their instructors, and there was voting, and it was like American Idol style where you go on your phone and you could vote. And it was just a really, really, really good time. And it was a pretty big spectacle. And I'm using the word spectacle because we don't want this to just be some, okay, here's a robot that I made, and that's it. You know, we want it to be something that the kids can be proud of. We want them to, you know, to feel a sense of accomplishment that they wouldn't get in just, you know, presenting, here you go, this is what I made. No, we want like them to be excited about it. You know, something that I've been saying to a lot of parents and our staff as well is that this is the time when kids are really finding their passion, finding what it is that they love, and you know, just running with it. You know, and you know, I'll use Weston as an example. You all are, you know, you guys are in Weston. You know, you can find 1,000,001 soccer programs. I love soccer. Soccer is amazing, but there's many, many soccer programs. So, you know, if your kid wants soccer, that's something that, you know, that they'll be able to do. However, if they have a more niche, I don't know exactly how to pronounce that word, but if they want a more unique or specific extracurricular or enrichment program, it's kind of hard to find something like that. So that's why we want to expose them to these really unique programs, such as the Drumline or the robotics and engineering. Unfortunately, these following ones are not at Indian Trace this school year, but potentially next year, something like a sketching and a comic book creators, something like podcasting or film production, stuff like that. Is, you know, there are kids who could find that to be their passion, and we want to give them the avenues to, you know, follow that passion. But all that aside, you know, that's talking about the final projects. We're going to have one final project at the end of the fall semester, so you can expect that to be sometime in December. And then we will have a second final presentation or showcase or exposition on sometime in late May, early June, potentially at the end of the spring semester. So we do have two different, a mid-year and then a end-of-year presentation. So that said, I'm going to go ahead and continue on to the topic of switching programs. I've gotten a lot of parents asking like, oh, if my child doesn't like the Drumline, can they switch to robotics or vice versa? And the short answer is yes, that's fine. You know, you can 100% switch programs if your child's just maybe not as into it as they thought they might be. That's totally fine. But what we do discourage is repetitive switching. And what I mean by that is going, you know, back and forth and back and forth. Why? I'm going to refer back to the final projects, because although, yes, you know, they'll be, you know, learning these new skills and trying out something different, when it, you know, if later in the school year, we're going to be working on those final projects, and we don't want any child to feel like they're falling behind or they got started too late, because at that point they get frustrated and then they might get some resentment towards the program where they really, really want to try it, but they get frustrated because they're behind. So all that's to say, yeah, so sometimes you'll try something and maybe it's not for you and you want to switch. Okay, that's totally cool. But it's just going back and forth and back and forth. That's, you know, that's what we discourage. I'm not going to say you absolutely cannot do it, but I don't encourage too much switching. Moving right along, I'm going to go ahead and go over the day-to-day, you know, what can be expected, you know, on a regular day of the program. So we're going to be at Indian Trace every Friday, every single Friday. And we operate everything on campus. There's no buses that take them anywhere else. There's no private bus. You don't have to take them anywhere. It'll happen right on campus, right after dismissal. The first session is from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. and 3 p.m. to 4 will be the second rotation. Now, I want to go over how they're going to get there and how they're going to get picked up. So the first thing, when the bell rings, if they are in the 2 p.m. session, wherever they normally go to for dismissal will be a little different. So I'll go with aftercare first. If they're on the on-site aftercare, I'll go with that first just because it's the simplest. When the bell rings, they'll go to aftercare. They'll go straight to aftercare, but because we begin right at 2 p.m., they'll inform their aftercare counselors like, hey, it's Friday, I have Drumline or I have robotics. Obviously, we will communicate with the aftercare to let them know who's supposed to be where so that everyone's on the same page. So yeah, after they report with their aftercare counselor, because you know the counselors need to know, hey, this child is present, then they will get escorted to us. We will be in one meeting location where both program instructors will be there, to receive them, take attendance, and then they'll be escorted to their program location. Once the program is over, aftercare kids will be escorted right back to aftercare, and that's it. Now, if your child is not in aftercare and is either a bus rider, walker, or a car rider, then what will happen is that they'll get escorted, to our meeting location like normal, but they will need to get picked up at the end of the hour. So if you're in the 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. session, they'll have to get picked up at 3 p.m. by an authorized adult. Now, what do I mean by authorized adult? I just mean either you guys as the guardians or anyone on your authorized pickup list. So when you filled out the registration at the bottom, it had an authorized pickup list. People who are allowed to pick up your child, who you are giving authorization to pick up the child. So for that, for this to be as safe as possible, we do ask that you bring photo IDs. I know it can be tedious. I know your kid knows who you are. You know who your kid is. But we do need you guys to have a photo ID so we can identify you. It is a safety protocol that we have to follow. We simply have to. It is for your child's safety. It's not to be annoying. It's not to slow down your day. It's just a safety protocol that we definitely need to follow. So please, anybody who's going to be picking up your children, if it's not already yourself, remind them that they do need to have a photo ID. Oh, I left it in the car. If you could please go get it, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much. And that's how we'll go about business. If they are so that would go for a bus, car, or walker. Bus rider, car rider, walker. If they are a biker, simply what would happen is that they would be escorted back to the bike rack. If they haven't, if they didn't bring their bike with them, they'll be escorted back to the bike rack, and one of our instructors will be there to make sure they're riding safely. And they don't need to be signed out or anything necessarily. They'll be free to go because they're on the bikes. As far as the day-to-day goes, that's really what you can expect. During the transition time, we'll be doing dismissal as well as transitioning to the 3 p.m. session. But really, that's the big information that we want to stick. Please make sure you have your IDs to pick up the kids, and you'll be signing them out at a specific location. And I say specific location because that is still being finalized with administration. The next email that you get from us will have all the information you need for the first day of the program. Dismissal location, meetup location, what hour block the child is in, all that stuff will be available in the next email you get from us. So just keep an eye out for that. And I'm going to take a quick pause for a moment. I know there were some parents that joined in a little bit late. And that's totally okay. I know you guys get busy. Being a parent is the busiest thing you can do. So for those who might have missed anything that I've gone over or who came in a little bit late, we will be uploading this. This meeting is being recorded. We'll be uploading this to our YouTube page. That way you guys can go back and access it and rewatch it if you forgot something or if there's something that you might have missed, you can go back and watch it. Which brings me to, we encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're not trying to just become YouTube famous like all the kids want to be nowadays. We simply use it to put up not only these videos, but also the practice videos for any student in, say, drumline. Obviously, this doesn't apply at Indian Trace, but something like the stepping team, something like that. All of the practice videos will be available on YouTube for them to watch. So we encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Moving right along, I see some stuff in the chat. I promise you I will get to it. Once I'm done, I only have 2 more points that I like to get to, or 3 more points that I like to get to, and then I will go straight into the chat to answer all these questions. We already covered that. Wonderful. Okay, rainy days. On rainy days, programs are not canceled. The drumline is typically done outdoors. We will have a backup location where we conduct the program. We will not be canceling the programs because of rain. So if it starts to rain, you can safely assume that we're still going to be conducting the program. Moving on to payments, the fun part. Ooh, yay. So with the payments that have been made, If you've already made a payment for fall or spring, what that payment is covering is, it is and I'm putting in quotations, monthly payment, but really it covers the first, it covers 4 Friday sessions. Now, we do take days off into account, whether it be a teacher planning day or a national holiday, something like that. We do take those into account. So if there is a situation where, all right, we have it here, let me pull up my calendar. If we have drumline or we have enrichment masters on Friday the 9th, the 16th, and on the 23rd, there's no school, the payment will roll over to the 30th. And then the 4th payment, so that would have been for the 30th, rolls over to October 7th. Pretty much skip over any no school days. That's the best way I can, describe it. So that's what your payments are covering. That's why I use monthly in quotation marks right there. Not exactly monthly, but close enough. Moving right along. The last thing, if you've explored our website a little bit, you've probably seen something in the EM store called our EM shop. Now, the EM shop is full of supplemental materials that are by no means required for the student's success in the program. It is not required. I want to make sure that is abundantly clear. It's not required. However, it is stuff that we do encourage you guys to purchase if they want to practice at home. I'll use the drumline as an example. Some of our parents last year can tell you we had some drumsticks and a little plastic, or not plastic, it was wooden with like a rubber on it, drum pad, so they can practice their songs at home without all the noise that comes with a full-size drum. So it has little things like that. There's like a solar robot kit on the website where they can practice building their robot and programming it and stuff. So again, by no means is it required. Is it beneficial? 100%, but it is just a supplemental material. If the child has their own materials that they want to bring to the class, by all means, totally, they can. They have their own drumsticks or something like that. They can totally bring it. They are responsible for what the items that they bring, but we do allow that them to bring their own materials. So I am going to stop talking about all the stuff I planned on talking about and move on to the Q&A session and hit these questions real quick. I'm very choppy when I speak. Uh-oh. I hope that got better. Is everyone hearing me okay? If I could get some thumbs up or some yeses in the chat. Okay, all right. Okay, thank you. Woof. I hope I don't have to go back and do the whole thing over again. Will we need to go into the main office and pick them up from there or from somewhere else on campus? As I mentioned, that specific detail will be finalized with administration before the beginning of the program, definitely, before the day of the program starting. So we will send you an email. The next email you get will contain all that information for you. Most likely will be not at the front office, especially at 4 o'clock because the front office is closed at that time. But like I said, that information will be coming out to you soon. What if our child is in session 2 and then another at 3? Yes, so if they are in drumline at 2 o'clock and then robotics at 3, simply what would happen is that when the session's over, we reconvene at our meeting location. Okay, if you're in drumline, now you have robotics. Okay, now you switch over and go to the robotics instructor, and it's as simple as that. When does it start? The first day will be not tomorrow, Friday, but September 9th. That is the first day that we will be conducting the programs. September 9th and every Friday afterwards, unless there's no school. What are the dates for robotics for the first term? So as I said, it is going to be every Friday. As far as when it ends, we do not have a set end date, but what I can tell you is that when the final project or the final presentation date is announced, that will likely be the last day of the program. So that the day we conduct that final presentation, exposition, competition, whatever the case may be, that will be the last day of the program until spring. Oh, That will be like in December, by the way, like late December before the winter break. No problem. Happy to help. Okay. So at this time, if, one more question. The kids will be taking both robotics and drum. If you sign them up for both, then yes, those are the two programs that we have available. They do not have to participate in both. They can participate in just one if they'd like. So when you register them, you can, select, hey, I want them in drumline and robotics, and then make the payment for both. But if you only want one, register them for one and only pay for one, and then you're good. You do not have to do both. But will there be a fall showcase of some kind for either of the classes offered? Yes. So that is one of the things I mentioned earlier regarding final projects. We will have some type of showcase, presentation, competition, expo, something that you guys can attend. As I was mentioning earlier, we rented out the Tamarack Community Center. And we had a whole competition between 4 different schools, and parents were able to come and vote and cheer them on. And honestly, it was just so much fun, such a great time. And that's what we're striving towards. Big spectacle. Are we charged automatically each month? I think so far we've been charged only for 1 month. So yes, at the end of September, we will have the option for parents to be billed automatically. You will opt in or out of that option. If you want to do it, that's totally fine. What will simply happen is that a few days before the payment is due, we will send you a notification saying, hey, just so you know, payment is coming up. And that way, you don't freak out when money got charged to your account. So you can opt for automatic billing if you'd like. If you do not want to, you can totally just do it manually, just like you did with this payment. You can do it over again. There's no right or wrong way to do it. Do parents get free entry to the expo event? That is a TBD, to be determined. It entirely depends on where we end up doing it. Usually we do it at a large venue, and because we have to rent out the venue, there may be like a ticket charge or something, but it will never be anything super expensive. I believe last year the cost for the tickets for the Drum Expo were like $3 a person, something like that. But yeah, no, is it free entry? To be determined, likely not, but it will not be expensive. No problem. So if there's any parents who do not have any more questions, you are free to go. I will stay on here for another 5 to 10 minutes answering any remaining questions. But if you do not have anything else, then you are free to go. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday evening. And we look forward to seeing everybody on Friday. You're welcome. You're welcome. From experience, is it overburdening to do both programs then being on the same day? I don't want to say it's too much of a burden on them. It can be tiring, especially with the drum line being, they'll be carrying an actual drum with the whole strap and everything. So I can say that the drum line from experience can be physically tiring. But, I always tell the parents, hey, you guys know your kids best. I'm going to be honest with you from my point of view. It can be very, very tiring. But you know your kids' capabilities, and their limits and their strengths. Personally, I do believe that it can be, but I'm not going to discourage a kid if he or she wants to try both. Let them try both. No problem. Do you need formal communication if our child won't be attending the school on a specific Friday? We would very much appreciate an email letting us know, hey, I am Johnny's mom. Johnny will not be at robotics on Friday, September 9th, or whatever the day is. If you can let us know ahead of time so we don't have to look out for them, that would be great. Because what we do is that we actually cross-reference our attendance with the school's attendance. So if he wasn't at school during the day, then we know not to look for him later. But if he was at school during the day, but then he gets picked up early, then that is something that we would need to be notified about. That way we don't freak out trying to look for him. Which email address should you use? This one right here, I'm going to type it up in the chat. Make sure it's spelled everything right. Masters.com. Cool. So that email right there is for any and all information. You know, for Enrichment Masters, whether you want to let us know something or you have questions, that will be our direct line. If the child is not in school in the afternoon and wants to attend the program, where do we bring them? So if they're not in school, but they would like to attend the program, that is a different situation. So for that, what I recommend you do is let us know that you intend on doing that. Because if you paid for the program, then you paid for the program. Let us know that you intend on doing that. And then you'd be able to communicate with one of our site liaisons, whoever is on site, this on-site supervisor. That way, you know, we can let him know where to meet if he has to be in the front office or he has to be taken to the media center, whatever the case may be. Yeah, please let us know that you plan on doing that with some time so we can plan accordingly. Okay. No, happy to help. Happy to help. And that email right there, again, if there's anything that you guys have last minute questions about, by all means, you know, shoot us an email. If you actually, you know, I probably should have put this before, but it is on our website, but I want to make sure everyone has access to it. This is the phone number right there. That is the main line. If I don't personally pick up, then someone on my team will, and they'll be able to answer any questions you guys have. All righty. If there's no more questions, I'm going to go ahead and close the meeting. I do have another orientation to prepare for, and I want to give them just as much attention as I gave you guys. So with your permission, I'm going to go ahead and end this meeting right here. I appreciate you guys taking the time again. And we really were excited to get started, and we look forward to seeing everybody on Friday. All right. Everyone have a good night. Bye-bye.